Okay, this is a quick 10-minute video to review the new note-taking and forms homework, and essentially what's going to be a 4-part cycle that we're going to engage in to help increase your learning. So that 4-part cycle is going to be first lecturing together, then independent note-taking and doing Microsoft Forms for homework, self-graded and teacher-graded quizzing, and then culminating notes, which means that you'll have to do a note-taking summary and another Microsoft form where you're going to have application practice. So let's dig in a little bit here. First things first, the expectation is that you're going to be keeping up with all of the work that's on the work plan. Everything is graded. More than 50% of your grade is going to be based on this work. So you need to make sure this work is getting done. A majority of the work you're going to be doing is going to be in class and written work. So you need to make sure that you're doing the work every single day because that's what you're mostly being graded on. Quizzes and tests are a very small percentage of your grade. And then, of course, there'll be labs, but some of the labs this quarter are virtual due to the types of topics that we're doing. So it is more important than ever before in third quarter that you are keeping up with the work schedule. Please let me know if there's an issue, but that's your responsibility for the class. So first thing that you're going to see in the cycle is that we'll be lecturing. On the work plan, it will say what day we have a lecture, and then hyperlinked to that day will be the actual slideshow that goes with that lecture. When you get to class, you're going to get a set of guiding questions on a lecture day that tell you what you're supposed to pull out of that lecture. So you need to pay attention during class. Class time is study time. You can't waste time while you're in school. And if you want to get your homework done quickly, essentially, the more you pay attention in class, the more effective you're going to be. So if you pay attention, you stay awake during lecture, you should not have your head down. You should not be on your phone. You shouldn't have your headphones in. Please show up to class prepared with your notebook and a pen, and make sure that you have your questions out and you're taking notes during lecture to make your homework easier. Then when you get home on lecture nights, you're going to notice that you have 2 things for homework. One is that you have to take notes again on the lecture. So you should make sure you go through that question list and you've taken notes in your notebook. These are graded notes. Okay. So at the end of this entire process, I will collect your notebook and I will grade you on the entire thing. The best way to keep up with that is to make sure you're doing the notes on a daily basis instead of trying to do them all at once right before they're due. This will help you because you also have a Microsoft Forms homework assignment each day as well. So only after you finish the process of note-taking and making sure you understand the questions should you be going in to do your Microsoft form. When you're completing the form, you're going to have a process where you check your correct answers. At the end, you should be able to correct your answers and resubmit your form. So as you are doing the work, you are going to be checking your understanding and making sure you've learned it essentially. So there's a video embedded in this slideshow that will show you what to do, as well as you have to shut me up, as well as it's linked to the work plan also. And that video is going to walk you through how you fill out a form, how you change your answers, how you can look at your old forms and access them so that you can use them to see how you did and whether or not you were getting questions right. Okay, so this is a very time-consuming process, and I need to see evidence of it in your notebook. Okay, rather than just going into forms and trying to do everything in forms, you want to have a process where you're going back and forth between your notebook and the form to make sure that your notebook is a reflection of everything you've learned and all your mistakes that you've corrected. Okay, so if you've done the questions in your notebook, you should also have corrections written down in your notebook, and it should be a record basically of how you went back and forth in the form to correct your answers. Okay, now this seems very time consuming to do this on a daily basis. A couple of ways to make sure that you make the best of this. First things first is that the questions are with you from the beginning of lecture until you finish the homework. So if you are using your lecture time effectively, you will essentially have started the homework before you leave. When you're home, you should really be nailing things down, not having just started them. Unless you end up being absent and you're handling the work independently, which is also a possibility. This basically allows you to follow along with what we're doing in class, whether you're there or not. So you're going to be doing a lot of your upfront work to study for exams by doing the daily homework and by doing the daily note taking. So instead of us taking like a bunch of hours or a whole weekend to study for the test, you end up studying every day. And that means you're actually saving time and working more efficiently because by the time you go to study for the test and you do your culminating notes and your final practice test on forms, at that point, you should pretty much have everything down pat. And you're most likely going to be just brushing up stuff that you're still not getting. Okay, then a few times in a unit, probably at least 2 times every unit, you're going to have a self-graded quiz followed by a practice day, like a boards day, followed by usually a teacher graded quiz. If we don't have time, like during one of the days, the way the schedule worked out, the teacher graded quiz was going to fall before an exam, so I turned it into a self-graded quiz. The self-graded quiz allows you to immediately get feedback on whether or not you're getting questions right. Then you know what do you need to study when you go home because you probably have a test in a couple of days. And also, it allows you to take time to get information from me right away about why that question is wrong or what you don't understand. Okay, and then the last assignment. This is intended to help you study for your test. Okay, so it says right on the work plan that you need to have the assignment done before you take the exam. However, I'm not going to collect your notebook until after you take the exam, or I'll take it from you on the day of the test. That doesn't mean that you should do the work later. It means that if you don't do that work before the test, you won't be prepared for the exam. That the reason the deadlines are pushed back is to give you time to have your notebook to study, where I'm not taking your notebook from you right before you have to study for a test or when you need it over the weekend to do homework. If I once I collect it, you don't have your notebook when you need it. But also, you need to make sure that you're not leaving things until the last minute. So when you're accumulating notes, you're accumulating notes is everything coming together. That's what accumulating means. When that assignment gets posted, usually you will have about 3 to 4 days to finish it, and then you'll have a test. So it comes in 2 parts. One is a notebook section that has to be written up, and the second one is a final forms practice test. That summary assignment is the only time you'll be doing a Microsoft Forms where you'll be able to see the right answers, but you won't be able to correct it in the test. So make sure that you have studied a lot. It's basically your final check-in before you show up for the exam to see if you're getting the questions right. Right, so that's basically how the whole cycle is going to work. It's really important that you keep up and that you pay attention to the work plan every day. One of the other videos that's going to go up is a quick summary of the work plan so that if you want to watch a video of it, of me explaining it to make sure you're clear and you've seen everything that's on the work plan, I'm also posting a YouTube video of it that will be linked to the work plan.